right, so every story has its origins, and the things I was telling you, part of your personality is not yours. This happens over a long period of time. Now, this is something that I've had to figure out over the course of my life. This isn't something that, I just started dealing with a year ago, 2 years ago. This started from the very beginning. Now, a long time ago, when I was a kid, I've always been a quiet person, but when I was a kid, I used to get made fun of a lot. And kids used to talk about my lips. They used to make fun of me because they knew that I wouldn't say anything because I'm what, everybody considers an introvert. I think and I don't really say anything out loud. Now, that being coupled with, you know, how we're getting raised as men, you have to suck it up and, you got to be tough and all this stuff. That created a blueprint for me. And that blueprint was I will never make anybody hurt the same way that they made me hurt. And in that contract that I made with myself, I started shouldering the burden of other people's projections. I started absorbing all that pain, and I never said anything to anybody because I said that if you feeling that way, I'm not going to be the one to pass it on to somebody else. So then I started absorbing. My whole life I absorbed. Now, what happens with that when you start absorbing all this stuff? It has to go somewhere, but it doesn't go anywhere because there's nowhere to put it because we aren't taught how to put it anywhere. This is the reason why we suffer in silence because of the way that, typically we were brought up. We have to be tough because we're the ones who's supposed to carry the unspoken burden. We're the ones who are supposed to make the load lighter for everybody else. And in turn, thinking that we have unlimited energy to take on everybody else's burden, then what comes after that is burnout. What comes after that is resentment. What comes after that is pretty much we're wondering why does not no one see our pain. We're hoping that somebody sees our pain and says, "Can I help you?" The fact of the matter is it's not going to come. And this is not anything that's unique to a certain person. I thought that I was special holding on to everybody else's burdens, but it actually does have a name. It's called the wounded healer. And the wounded healer is pretty much you have your own issues to deal with, but you take this grand personality and you envelop yourself in it, thinking that you're doing something noble by being hurt, but then also holding space for everybody else to dump on you their feelings, their unmet needs, all this stuff, and you don't get the opportunity to say anything. Now, the problem with this is the wounded healer is something that it's not something that you're supposed to stay in. It's pretty much a means for destruction. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to start hurting. You're going to start lashing out, and you're going to inevitably break down. Now, this is pretty much the path that I went on, and I did all this on my own. So this is why I'm telling you about this, because this is something that we all have to go through, a phase that we have to go through in order to get to the other side. This is the reason why it's so important for you to actually heal those things. And the only way that you can heal those is to give them a name. You have to name them in your head by pulling them out one at a time and start dissecting these things in order to get rid of the things that don't actually belong to you. This is why we suffer in silence, because nobody has given us the space to actually tell us that this stuff does not belong to us to carry. We have to drop this stuff. And this is the reason why I'm doing this, is because I've actually gone through this pretty much my whole life, being a silent person, being the one, I think very deeply. And because I think deeply, I like fixing problems. I love fixing my own problems. And I've taken each one of these things one by one, dissecting them, figuring out where the origins of these things come from so that I can help other people lighten their load and live a better life. Now, suffering in silence is something that I'm trying to destroy. This is why I'm making these videos. So if you're somebody who feels like nobody understands you, but then at the same time you try to keep it all to yourself, this is for you. This is the way that we're going to destroy all of these things that don't belong to you, so that you can find out what you really are. Not just who you really are, but what you really are. And the only way to get to the point to where you start focusing on your health and the way that your mind works, things like that, is to do this hard part first. You only have to do it once. Once you get through it, you'll realize that physical fitness, mindset, chasing the bag, all that stuff becomes a lot easier to carry because you got the mental bandwidth to actually do it consistently. So if you like this kind of content, just like and subscribe. I got a lot more because I'm going to help you break down how you actually get through this stuff to where you don't keep having to repeat the same cycle over and over and over again. That stuff gets exhausting. And I got up to the point to where I almost broke. And this is just me making it through it. So I'm helping you get through it. And that's all I got for today. This stuff gets kind of heavy. So you got to take this stuff in small doses. It's not a quick fix, but it's a permanent fix. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all have a good day. Peace.